Yes, it was 20 years ago today that Tom Brady was drafted by the New England Patriots. I know a lot of people don't know this, but it was 199 overall in the sixth round. And how when you're that deep in the draft, we all know how draft coverage goes. It gets a little spotty in the back end. Tom Brady was drafted during a commercial break. Straight up.
How about Tirico on the call there?
Tirico with a full head of hair. Doing a nice
he
job.
was a day three. Definitely a Michigan guy.
And a big spot there by Tirico. Has been doing it for a long time. And, all right, a little quiz. The 6 quarterbacks drafted before Brady in 2000, Kyle Brandt.
Well, Chris Redmond for sure. I have a first-person story about Chris Redmond, too. I'm just going to interrupt, break your format and say it.
Do it.
About 3 years ago, I was on a family vacation. We were in like a warm weather area around a hotel, and I'm walking down the beach by myself. I'd had some daiquiris, and my wife was with the kids. And I'm just sitting there, my feet are in the water, and I look, and I see this tall guy, this crew-cutted guy, and I go, is that Chris Redmond? And I walked up to him. This is about 3 years ago. I was on Good Morning Football at the time. And I go, excuse me, you're Chris Redmond, right? He goes, yeah, how you doing? And we're talking, and I'm half drunk. And I kind of just go, so, dude, like, how much does the Brady and the draft thing come up? And he goes, every day of my life. And what can I do? Every day of my life. And I go, well,
people like you.
I guess I'm the guy today. Yes, I was the guy. But he's like, what can I do? I had a nice career. I did everything I could do. And I thought he had a great attitude about it. So I ran into him every day of his life, and now we brought it up here. Chris Redmond, that's one.
Chad Pennington, Giovanni Carmazzi, Chris Redmond, T. Martin, Mark Bolger, and Spurgeon Wynn.
Don't get me started on
Yeah.
Spurgeon Wynn.
And Pennington was the first off the board to the Jets, around 20 overall, 25 in that range. My favorite Jet quarterback ever, one of those what-if guys, kind of like your Greg Cook, Wes, maybe not at that level skill-wise, natural skills, but he really was tracking to have an excellent career, but the shoulder injuries just derailed it. And he still, even with those injuries, won Comeback Player of the Year twice and had a really nice career, but it's a what could have been in Jets history, Mr. Pennington. All right. And by the way, if you're watching this clip on social, you'll see that in addition to the Princeton photos in the background, which I imagine a young Kyle Brandt is in those because he played collegiately there.
All right, so can we get into this?
I just want to say you're wearing a Brady jersey with the Bucs jersey.
I got a Brady jersey, the goat, the 3 goats in my
The Godwin jersey, right?
It's the Brady and everything.
Did they send you
one? I
one?
had a lot of trouble with my background. Yes, the Buccaneers sent me a damn jersey, but I have pictures of myself. Which, if you ever watch Good Morning Football, I am extremely loath to ever bring up my college playing career because I'm on the same network with LaDainian Tomlinson and Terrell Davis, and I have other stuff I want to talk about. I just don't do it. I have nothing to put back there. I tried this Walter Payton picture that was really cool, and they shot it down because it was a copywritten photo. I've tried all these cool pop culture things. Can't do it. I keep getting shot down. So I'm like, you guys, I have to put up pictures of myself, which is like the douchiest move of all time. But other than that, it's just these crappy closets that are encasing my hot water heater in my hostage chamber basement. So that's all I got. I'm sorry. I know it's lame, but I have nothing else. I'm sorry.
I love it. I'd be hanging up posters of myself if I played on any level of college football.
I think lean into it. Would Schrager be apologizing? No, he'd be saying what a badass he is. You know?
You know what, Greg? I was thinking about something. I have photos of my Good Morning Football co-hosts in different athletic endeavors at different points of their life. I have a picture of Peter Schrager on like the 4th grade swim team in a Speedo, and I was going to print all those pictures and put them here. And Kay's like playing volleyball, and Nate's doing whatever he's doing. But the Schrager grape smuggler picture is unbelievable. I'm even going to try to pull it up as we're talking so I can show you guys. All right.
I mean, Schrager and I are very tight. I have to ask, did his athletic career go beyond 4th grade in the pool?
No, it didn't go on to 4th grade anywhere. And the funny thing about Schrager's easily 6'3". He's coordinated. I've played catch with him. You start to play catch with a football, you can tell he's coordinated. And I'm like, Peter, you're so obsessed with football. You're so big. Why did you not play tight end or something in high school at least? And in my high school, the coach would like run down anyone in the hallway who was kind of big or was tall. I was like, where was your coach? Because Peter, you could have maybe done something with this. You just had no interest. Never wanted to play the game. And when you know how you do photo shoots at different, the NFL media things, they want you to take a picture in your suit or whatever. They always have a ball. There's always a ball on the set. And they want you to take the ball and like hold it and toss it and everything. Peter will not touch the ball, ever. He refuses to touch it. And the photographer's always like, hey, Peter, let's get a couple with the ball. I won't touch it, and I won't do I'm looking at my phone because I have so many contacts things, which are only the two things
I feel like he's told us this story. It's so important to him that he's
So
relayed
I always
the
make
story.
sure that when he's doing his pictures, I throw him the ball and make him catch it. And then I tell the photographer, when he's holding the ball, take the picture, just to torture him.
There's more to this story.
A lot. There's a lot in the sub-genre of Peter
Layers.
Schrager.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to find the picture.
Yeah. Keep looking at Grape Smuggler. Is that what you referred to it as?
Yes, I did.
The
yes.
look? Okay.
Yeah, we should say plum smuggler.
Plums.
Well, you take plums, All right. Listen, Jay Glazer said he had huge scoopage, and everyone connected it to the lame floated report by the Moose over at WFAN that the Vikings and Browns were closing in on an Odell Beckham trade. Well, that everything we're hearing from plugged-in people in the industry say that's not a real thing. And then Glazer comes on a show and says his big scoop is that Rams center Brian Allen tested positive for the coronavirus. A Rams spokesman confirmed the diagnosis on Wednesday, adding that Allen felt symptoms but is now feeling much better. He's 24 years old. He's the first active NFL player to publicly acknowledge that he's tested positive for the virus. So if you were expecting a huge NFL transaction scoop, it wasn't that, but it is notable. The first NFL player with coronavirus. Thankfully, it doesn't look like it's one of these serious cases.
The most memorable thing I think about this story is it's the first time I can ever remember Jay Glazer getting dumped on. Like, Jay Glazer's had, it's really a credit to Jay Glazer that he's had this great a career that I can't think of another time where people are just mad at Jay Glazer for overselling something. He never gets things wrong. Or, in this case, people just thought like this wasn't enough. You feel for Brian Allen, but I understand.
I think he misread the room because it is an important story, and obviously coronavirus is what everyone has talked about, and it's the biggest thing in the world. But I don't know, maybe there's a bit of people are so used to hearing people have it now that it's not something that floors people, and people were looking for the big NFL news story, so they hit out it. I'm going to give Glazer a pass is what I'm trying to say. I understand where he was going with it, and people just wanted something else.
The tone was a little off. It's like, hey, everyone wait around till, X, Y, and Z Pacific Standard Time for this big announcement. It's going to be a fun one. And then it's like, this person has caught the pandemic. It kind of threw me in the wrong direction.
All right.
Great at his job. I'm not sure this qualifies as scoop.
The Rams did have to close down their facility. It does raise some questions, like they didn't answer why they closed their facility a little earlier than everyone else, so it kind of answers that. He also said he didn't have the ability to taste Brian Allen for 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
He tested
Or
positive
smell.
twice, I think 2 or 3 weeks apart, so even for someone as healthy as that, it's taken him a while to shake it.
All right.
The Glazer thing, Dan, he called his shot. Like, when you go on Twitter and say, huge news tomorrow, we are in an era where we're all dying for something to react to or a story or like just give us anything. And then I was like, who the hell's Brian Allen? I was not familiar with that player.
Yeah.
I understand he's from the Chicago area and he's a meat and potatoes type of guy. It did make me wonder. You obviously wish health and wellness for everyone. Who is the NFL figure that if Glazer said he had corona and he's okay now, who is the person that would have blown Twitter's hair back and be like, oh my God, that is a crazy story? Because I do have an answer in mind. Antonio Brown? That's your answer?
I'd go
That's a great
Tom Brady
answer.
because he is the health and wellness guru that apparently can't catch any sort of the common cold. Has no idea who Tom Brady is.
Greg?
Yeah, I mean, Belichick, you're making a good point that really people were mad that it was Brian Allen. If it was a big star, then people would be fine with it.
It's not exactly the NFL's Tom Hanks.
No.
Brady's my guy as well.
I think the answer is simple. And Dan, I hate to bring this up.
Yeah.
If it was Sam Darnold, that would be really bad.
That's true.
We can't have Sam Darnold being the guy. I mean, any other player in the league after what went down last year, and obviously I don't wish that on anybody, but Dan, speak as a Jets fan.
Yeah.
If Darnold had corona, and okay, he's all fine now, but Jesus. What are
I'm
we
putting
gonna
him
do
in a
with this guy?
bubble, and I'm just I'm taking him out of the league. I'm saying you were supposed to be the shining sun, but now your wellness is more important. He stays in a bubble for 70 years.
Yes.
You get a lot of that out indefinitely with coronavirus and Sam Darnold pointing at the camera.
Right.
Exactly.
Don't tease me with surprises in this era, all right? If my wife tells me I ordered something incredible for you online and it's more bath towels, like you can't mess with my emotions in this era. And I think that's what Jay was going
All right, we're hitting Glazer with the L. Moving on. Here's some more trade rumors out there. This one floated by former NFL executive, former colleague of yours. I know you had a good relationship with him, Mike Lombardi. Was told by a league source that the Bucs are looking to trade tight end O.J. Howard, former first-round pick, a guy who really flashed in the 2018 season before going down. And then 2019 was a huge disappointment, Wes, where he couldn't get going. I believe he had some injury issues and maybe fell out of favor in the Bruce Arians regime. So if this Lombardi report tracks and is indeed accurate, this is a young and talented guy that maybe just has not been able to get his footing in the NFL yet.
The timing seems all off on this one. It's a year too late. You know, every person in America who plays fantasy football said Bruce Arians doesn't use tight ends last year. They should trade O.J. Howard while he still has a lot of value, coming off a very promising 2018 season. And now it's like Tom Brady, who was used to throwing passes to a 6'7", highly athletic tight end for 10 years, now has another 6'7", highly athletic tight end, and the Bucs want to get rid of him. I don't get the timing.
I don't really look at Michael Lombardi the same after that ugly clash he had with Scott Hansen on Twitter this offseason. So it's tough for me to take this trade news and embrace it in the same way that I normally would, because I'm just Team Hansen. Team Hansen all the way.
Awesome
Always.
clash. My favorite clash in a long time.
You almost have to wonder if Howard, I mean, of all places, could wind up. I can think of a team that Brady is linked to that needed a tight end desperately. Why not New England? And suddenly the guy Brady should be throwing to. I mean, anything that Mike Lombardi reports, I have to feel like there's a little Patriots angle or shade to it somewhere.
Then there's no tight ends in this class, apparently. So you would think someone would give something for him.
Hey, Greg, lest anyone not be aware of it, could you just remind us what the Hansen-Lombardi feud was? Because I'm a big Hansen guy, too.
Yeah. Well, I recommend go back to Twitter.
Okay.
And, search these two names.
Titans.
I
What
believe
happened?
Lombardi had a comment on his podcast.
Oh,
where
no, it was a diatribe.
Essentially said Scott Hansen doesn't know anything. And Scott Hansen shouldn't be giving any criticism about play calling or when to call timeouts. And Scott Hansen, just read your little teleprompter and do the news for me, because that's where you're at in the world. And Scott did not take it well. It was a beautiful thing.
Good job by Scott pushing back on
Good
that.
job. I mean, he does 7 hours of commercial-free football, guys. That ain't easy. I
Yeah,
love
because
Scott Hansen.
Mike Lombardi is, unimpeachable when it comes to takes on football and getting things right and wrong. Right, Mark Sessler?
I agree with whatever the host of our show says.
Like petty Twitter squabbles are
off that
one
fence,
of my favorite
Sessler.
sporting events.
Me too.
In other news, come on, come back to us, Dak Prescott. He held a social gathering over the weekend. There's no social gatherings right now. I don't care, if you keep it under 10 or if it's over 10. Just nix it. Everyone else is eating the poop right now. You do too, Mr. Quarterback. Anyway, he held a party, and Zeke Elliott was also there. And Dak is upset because he thinks it's been blown out of proportion by the media and by idiots like me, saying it wasn't more than 10 people. It wasn't out of control. It wasn't a rager. But Stephen Jones said Tuesday in an interview with the fan in Dallas that he talked to both Prescott and Elliott about not conducting gatherings while most of the country remains under quarantine. Here's what Stephen Jones had to say. And then Prescott released a statement. Where do you come down on this, Mark? Dak, you angry with him? You furious?
No, I'm not furious. I think two things. That Jane Slater followed up to report that some of the images that showed this sort of swanky, bizarre-looking party center was actually a local restaurant called Nick and Sam's that she's been to, and they actually took their own photos of the spread they sent to Dak. With all these things in general, it's like, if someone were to, from a PR angle, examine what I did from age 22 to 28, it would be a horrific story for the nation to follow along. But in general, let's try to let's just not get in our own way while the entire country is gripped by the biggest health-related news story of our lifetime, and you're Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott hanging around eating, lamb wings or whatever it is they're eating. It's like, just why do
wings.
this? How about
Mark,
do this virtually?
Humans eat chicken wings when they
It's
go to
I'm just
always
work.
saying.
lamb
Well,
when
who
it-
knows?
when it's
We don't know
marked.
what was on the menu. I might be right.
Do I have to stop
Lambs
going
don't
to my
have
neighbors?
wings.
I have to stop going to my neighbor's front yard every day at 5 o'clock and sitting 8 feet across from each other?
You're sitting 8 feet across from each other. You're not having a party inside your house where you're all having dinner at the same table. And
He said
everyone-
fewer than 10 people, right? I mean, it's
He
kind of hard
lies.
to keep track of the rules and get a handle on severity when the message is so mixed from leaders at the national, state, and cable news levels.
Well,
we have
it is-
Dr. Fauci telling people that, hey,
What's
take
he
a
say?
swing on Tinder if you need to. He basically said it on that podcast that we mentioned.
Yeah.
If you're willing to take the risk, go down that Tinder avenue.
Fauci said, "Shoot your shot," is basically what he said.
Bingo.
It's a dangerous time in the quarantine because this is kind of a screw it time, meaning someone might be like, "I'm sick of this. Screw it. Like I'm tired of doing this. I'm gonna have my friends over. I've been doing this for weeks. It's tired. I want to see my girlfriend, whatever it may be." It's sort of the screw it period, and I think maybe that's what Dak got into. My question. Why is Dak hosting anything? He shouldn't be hosting. That means he has to pay for food and drink and everything. There's like 6 different people on the Cowboys that should be hosting a party. Zeke should be hosting. DeMarcus, Jalen, all of those guys who have been paid. I picture Dak at his front door charging $20 a solo cup to come in. He's the last guy who should be hosting. They should be hosting him.
it's fair.
That's fair.
Right?
There you go.
It's not the end of the world, but it's also Wes, like days after he's out working out with Des Bryant and everyone's got their arms around each other. And at some point, yeah, you're young and you make mistakes. Again, it's not the end of the world, but you're also like an example for everyone tracking Dak Prescott in the state of Texas. And like, if it's cool that he's just going out, like basically living his life as he normally does, then other people think that they can too.
Moving on, let's head to the desert, Greg. I know you like it out there. You like it nice and dry. You're like Saul Goodman walking out
He
there
likes
with
it
a
when it
yellow water
rains.
bottle.
I
news
do.
to
I
us.
like. I kind of am like that's the Jew in me. I'd like it 95 degrees and just dry. Like, give it to me. Heat.
Nice, Greg. All right. So Caesar Sportsbook released their NFL win totals and playoff odds for all 32 teams. Greg, since you're good at this, the Patriots open with a win total of, hit it,
8.5. Well, you told me, right? 8.5.
show business, baby.
But I think on this very show a few weeks ago, a Twitter listener pointed out I guessed 8.5. So that was right about. That's like you're like the 12th best team in the league. You're on the borderline of a playoff spot. So that seemed about right.
Brady's new team, the Bucks, open with a win total of 9. Very interesting. The 2 highest win totals, 12 each, the Chiefs and the Ravens. And Kyle, you guessed the teams with the 2 lowest win totals. It's set at 4.5 are
4.5. I mean, I guess you could still look at Cincinnati. Are they at 4.5?
Nope.
No, the number 1 pick's going to do that much. Is it Miami?
It is not Miami. It is the
Who you
AFC
got?
South, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the
Oh,
Washington Redskins. So not a lot of hope in the desert.
Well, what that tells me is Kyle has been adhering to the NFL's "Don't gamble on football" policy.
Smart.
I mean, that's good.
Can't do it. I don't even. This over under. I don't even know what the hell you guys are talking about. I'm not even sure what that means. I'm
done.
trying to just play along and be a good guest, but I'm lost right now.
You're off the hook.
Yeah,
You're just,
and we're not sure Greg is adhering to that
Bengals?
policy on any.
Yeah.
I am perfectly adhering to that policy.
My weight gain has been over under like 16 and a half pounds over the last month. That's what I know. Tough night.
All right, let's. You know what? Let's get in. I know. Get that club gear on. Hopefully, it still fits because we're heading into the Kicker Club. Let's go.
All right.
The Dallas Cowboys have a competition. Kai's Kai Forbath already on the roster. The Cowboys bring in Greg Zierlein on a 3-year contract. And first thought, 2 words, Wes. When Zierlein comes in, your first thought on Kai Forbath, 2 words. Not Kai's Kai.
Free Kai.
He gone. Free Kai.
Free Kai. Hashtag free Kai.
And
He gone.
you know, that is that is the situation. But guess what? Everyone thinks that Zerline's the favorite. He's speaking out on it. Well, first here's the quote from Zerline on the kicker competition. Ideally, I win. Okay? But Ricky, use that other thing I sent you now. Could sound like this. Ideally, I win. That's how I imagine Greg the Leg.
It's incredible. Production value here. I'm blown away. When I saw the wired headphones, I figured you guys wouldn't have anything. This is really good, though. I like that we're talking kickers. Anytime I try to talk kickers on the network, I get made fun of. I like talking kickers because
you picked the right show.
They get crapped on all the time, but it's like they're the ones that put people in the Hall of Fame. They're the ones that put people in the Super Bowl. Every time I try to bring it up, I get laughed at. This is. I feel at home. Especially at club.
You picked the right. You picked the right show, Kyle. Because let's head back into the club. Your thoughts, Wes?
Who do the Cowboys think they're kidding here?
Right.
With this competition, they give one guy guaranteed millions, a former All-Pro, to come in and take the job, and Kai Forbath, who had 10 kicks for them last year, as some kind of token of loyalty. They're letting him do the. If you want to be loyal to Kai Forbath, set him free. Let him go kick for someone else.
Yeah.
Zerline's your kicker.
I feel like if there's one truism of any kicker battle, if a team gave any guaranteed money, if you gave even $50,000 to one kicker, he's winning the job. They gave Greg Zerline $1 million guaranteed. It's over. There's no chance.
And Kyle, I tease that this is the right show for you to join us.
Oh yes, we have a child.
Yeah,
hello.
Walker. My son comes in quietly every time. We don't let him speak.
Walker?
But
Walker,
yeah,
what's up, Walker? How you doing, bud? You like kickers, Walker? Walker, do you like kickers? You a big fan of kickers and the field goals and whatnot?
Whatnot.
Cat's got his tongue here.
A born broadcaster.
Will you guys indulge my kicker fetish just in doing around the horn? Do you guys each have an all-time favorite kicker in the NFL? Just give me one. Give me.
I do. As an old school Browns fan, I'll go Matt Barr, who when I would get annoyed when he would, flub the occasional kick, very reliable, good kicking family. Matt Crossbar.
All right.
I mean, I'm a Patriots fan. It'd be a little weird to say anyone but Adam Vinatieri. So I'm not.
Gotcha. Okay.
I feel like the most overrated kicker of the 21st century, a fellow lefty like me, David Akers of the Eagles, there were years where he was getting 150 points every year.
Yes.
Justin Tucker is the best player in the league if you factor in how much better he is than anyone else that's his competition. So
you think Justin Tucker is better at kicker than Julio Jones is at wide receiver. That's what you're saying, and I agree with you.
That's where
my guy growing up as a Bears fan in the '80s was Kevin Butler. I loved Kevin Butler, but I really fell in love with the guy who won my first ever fantasy championship. Do you remember in the mid 2000s what a heater Jeff Wilkins of the Ravens was on?
Oh yeah.
He would give you 25 fantasy points a week. It was so awesome. So I love Wilkins. Love you, my man, wherever you are.
All right, we're staying in the club because, yes, you're a very lucky man. We're now going to do a quick draft breakdown of who you need to know about from the kicker position. Hit the music again, Ricky. The number one prospect. By the way, COVID-19 hasn't shut down the boot factory operating in the Peach State right now.
Sure.
Because you got Rodrigo's Blankenship from Georgia. You got Tyler Bass from Georgia Southern. Both guys that could go on day 3. I'm not saying anybody's going to go day 1 or 2, but day 3, Blankenship, he's a heavy favorite to be the first kicker off the board. Top-ranked kicking prospect by a majority of draft experts out there. He's got a big leg, hit 6 of 9 kicks from 50-plus last year, drilled a 55-yarder against Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl in 2018. Touchback machine. Bass is a nice player, nice prospect. Keep an eye on him. He did really well in the Senior Bowl. Now, I want to throw a couple more guys out there. Ricky Aguayo, the brother of Roberto Aguayo.
Oh.
He had his own.
No, I don't have the energy for this.
Yeah, he had his own career at Florida State, not as celebrated. He also had some fights with frat bros. You remember that? And there was a turtle that didn't make it out of it.
Feels like extra points for that.
But he is in the mix this year. Also, speaking of Adam Vinatieri, Chase Vinatieri out of South Dakota State, the same school that Adam went. Chase is the son of Chad Vinatieri, Adam's older brother.
Whoa.
He's a quality kicking prospect. He went to UCLA right in our backyard here. Keep an eye on him maybe as an undrafted free agent. maybe as a Mr. Irrelevant. Just keep your eye on
Belichick's
that.
all over that. They
I
need
mean,
a
the
kicker.
Patriots drafted their last kicker in the 4th round. They're not shy.
Dan, please tell me you have like a Vladimir Janikowski coming down the pipeline. Is he also in the bloodline? Because the way this is going, I feel like you're about to drop that on us. Please.
I would love to have that. I don't know if Sebastian procreated, but he could have a family member. Nobody's popped up yet. And just one
He
more
doesn't
fun
know.
fact for you, Greg. Chase attended Super Bowls 36 and 38 when Adam made game-winning field goals. He was in the stands.
I mean, the man, Adam, hit a kick in the snow to close down a stadium to start the greatest dynasty in sports history. No one's ever
Nice
going to
little
top
kicker.
that. No one's
Nice
ever going to
little
top
kicker.
that.
And don't forget, Adam
People
Vinatieri, undrafted. I believe he played in the World League before
Yes.
getting his shot. All right.
Yes.
Now that was a trip to the kicker club.
That was a long one.
So we can gather in that club and discuss kickers, but we're killing Dak Prescott for having a few people over for hors d'oeuvres.
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
Touche.
We haven't yet put in the testing procedures that are necessary, but we just like to party with the kickers. All right, moving on. That's what's happening in the news. All right, how do you want to get into this, Kyle? I want you to maybe take the reins here and take us through where your headspace is at, something that was important enough to you, something that's really never happened in all my years doing the show. When I talked to a guest that's coming on, you reached out to me and said there's something we need to talk about. Let's get into it.
There's a great wrong that needs to be made right. When we started Good Morning Football in 2016, we started doing a segment that we called the Nerd Bowl. And the Nerd Bowl was, in essence, a trivia contest where we would take Schrager and he would go against a producer or a statistician or someone like that. Nerd, a term of affection that you love football so much, you're a nerd for it. And Peter was tearing everybody apart and he would always beat them and always beat them. So we went to Houston. We went to Houston before the infamous Patriots-Falcons Super Bowl, and we did a live show in front of a live audience, and our shtick that day was we're going to do a Nerd Bowl, and Peter's going to say, I'll take on anybody in this crowd. They can come out of the crowd right up here right now, and I'll take on anybody. Well, we had a plant.
It was
and
a work.
That plant, yes, was it was on this podcast right now, and his name was Chris Wessling. And he came up, and he was an incredibly good sport. And what ensued was the most terrible, disastrous segment in any show ever that's ever been done in history. We pitched this as Schrager and Wessling know everything. They are experts. They know every little detail of football. We proceeded to ask them like 12 trivia questions, and I don't know if they got any of them right. Every single one was wrong.
Kyle,
Wessling
here's
was
a
wrong.
sample. Here's
Schrager
a sample
was
of how
wrong.
it went.
You got audio? Go ahead.
That's the low-hanging fruit. What was that second one, Chris?
Well, we don't want to play the questions here, Dan, right?
No, we're not.
Schrager's gonna know it. Unfortunately, I have to call time on you. We got to move the Nerd Bowl fast. Peter, would you like to steal?
I don't know. Honestly, I'm going to guess. I'm going to take a random guess with Deshaun Goldson, but I don't think he actually won.
No, it's not right. Peter, way to show up with your A game in Houston. It's Courtney Upshaw with the Ravens.
You could hear the frustration in your voice there. The segment just wasn't singing, Kyle.
The Good Morning Football staff still talks about that segment, about how terribly produced it was. And let me make it clear. The questions were way too hard. Way too hard. Or were they? We're going to find out today. I have in my hand the actual questions that Schrager and Wessling were asked on that fateful day in January of 2017.
Get ready for who made the game-winning field goal in Week 4 of a 1983 game? These
right.
are the questions that your
These are
producers
the
came up
questions.
with.
And Chris, there was no fault of your own.
I know.
Way too hard.
Because in my house, we talk about this segment too, and we talk about the Good Morning Football staff and the esoteric, arcane nature of these questions, which trivia is supposed to be fun. This is really trivial.
Well,
It's like nobody cares about any of these questions.
So who brings it up when you talk about it in your home, Wes? Do you bring it up, or Keisha just
Me
every
and
once
all
in a
my
while?
good time friends.
that damn segment.
It's a black eye on our show. So,
I
guys,
agree.
here's what I'm going to need right now. I'm going to need two contestants that are going to get the same questions that Chris and Peter got. I will ask them who wants to play. Chris, you're ineligible, but the other three, who wants to play?
I'd love to try.
All right, Dan, you're in. Dan, and who do we got, guys? Who's the
I
second
mean,
person?
I assume I'm going to come out looking. If Wes and Schrager can't get any, I just feel like I've got nothing to lose. Greg,
right.
maybe we could each go halfway, but I'll throw my hat
Dan,
in the
it's
ring.
going to be Dan versus Mark, and Greg, I need you to help me keep score.
Can Greg be a lifeline? How about Greg as
Sure,
lifeline?
Yeah, I think-
sure.
That yeah,
I gotta whip my whistle for it. Hold on.
I mean,
It's
Wes
not
could be a
coming into
lifeline.
football. I gotta
It's
get
You're
it.
gonna
still
need an indexed encyclopedia.
Here we
as your
go.
Lifeline.
The first question, and this is the same question that we asked on that day. I love you got the music.
Are
How
we
is this
buzzing
gonna
in
ri-
here?
how is
that
this gonna
this
write
No,
it
no, no. This
wrong?
is just for Dan. This is just for Dan. You each get your own
This is gonna
question,
go
and then you
great.
get an opportunity to steal. Dan hands this. Now, let me preface this. All of these questions, remember, it's January 2017, and they're all about the Falcons and the Patriots. They're all based on them. Here we go. Dan hands us your question. When Atlanta last defeated New England in 1998, which Falcons tight end caught 2 touchdowns?
I'm going to say Algie Crumpler.
That is incorrect. Mark, would you like to steal?
Not particularly.
I'd like to
Do you have
steal.
any guess? Now, I want to point out, this is one of the only questions that Chris got right. So, Mark, if you have no
He got
guess,
one right.
98.
98, Falcons tight end, 2 touchdowns against the Patriots. It was not LJ
I
Crumpler.
felt good about that answer.
Jock Robertson.
That is incorrect. Neither one of you guys get the point. Chris, what is the real answer?
I believe it's O.J. Santiago.
Yes, it is.
Ooh, ouch.
Nice little
OJ
playoff, Santiago.
Santiago.
I
Greg,
mean,
did you
him
know
getting
that?
that's impressive on its own.
All right, so that was the one that Chris got. Now, your next question, Mark, for you. Name the only Patriot to win a Super Bowl as a player and later as a coach with a different team.
A head coach?
A coach, assistant coach. And stop clarifying, just answer.
All right. Wow.
Ooh, I feel good about this one, too.
Okay, Dan feels like he's going to steal if you don't
Yeah.
get it right. He won the Super Bowl as a Patriot player and then won a Super Bowl as a coach with another team. The only one to do it. Who is it?
I don't know.
You got nothing. Dan, would you like to steal?
No, I actually got it. No, I had it mixed up in my head, but I was going to say Pepper Johnson, but that's not it.
Greg, do you have a guess?
I should know this, but I don't.
The answer, my friends, Peter Schrager that day guessed Don Hasselbeck, which is wrong. Wessling guessed Raymond Berry, which is wrong. The answer is Larry Izzo. Larry
Izzo.
Izzo,
wow.
How
yes.
did you guys not know that?
These
I mean,
are,
it makes sense when I hear the answer.
Wes, is there a sense of vindication washing over you as everyone else stumbles here?
This is going exactly how I remember it.
All right, now imagine
I mean,
this
how
was
did they-
on live TV and we can't get out of it.
How did
We
they
have
think
to
that
keep
Don
going.
Hasselbeck won a Super Bowl or Raymond Berry as a member of the Patriots? But
At
they
this
didn't even
point, they were
understand the
grabbing at
question.
straws.
Wait,
All right,
was
let's do a couple
Schrager's
more.
a proud man. When you
Yes.
go to commercial break after the segment bombs and Wes is a good sport and you send Wes off,
Yep.
is Schrager steaming? Is he saying you guys made me look bad in front of a live audience?
this. Peter was probably berating me and the staff for making the questions too hard, right? You cut that from this. No, don't. All right, next question.
I mean, I'd be the same
Dan
way.
I like that you
Kansas.
thought about how to answer that, and that's what you want.
Going into the Super Bowl, if he throws 2 interceptions in this Super Bowl, Tom Brady will tie which quarterback for the most playoff interceptions in NFL history?
Interesting. It'd have to be a guy that played a ton of
Okay.
games, most likely. Who played many playoff games, was airing it out a lot, would have some games where... I don't think he was a great quarterback, so I don't think he had a lot of messy games, but he played so many, I'll say Jim Kelly.
That is not correct. Would you like to steal, Mark?
I would. I'm going to go Peyton Manning.
That is also not correct. This is my
guess.
point. Here, Chris at the time guessed Bart Starr, which is not right. Schrager guessed John Elway, which is not right. The answer is Brett Favre, guys. Brett Favre, most playoff interceptions.
Logical.
So we're just bottoming out here, and we're
Yes,
going
it's
to
a mess.
crescendo.
I'm not going to
with a
kill that
lightning
question.
round.
That question was
It's
reasonable.
not a bad question. Not a bad
All
question.
right, how about this? How about just a really simple one? This is very simple. There's no time history. Here we go, guys. This is for you, Mark. Where did Falcons wide receiver and return man Eric Wiens play college football?
I will go University of Georgia.
That is incorrect. Dan, would you like to steal?
Eric Weems, such a...
Better not be Googling there, Dan.
Household
Yeah, he
name.
Googled just the way he's building this up. It's
He
obvious,
Googled
so
this.
obvious.
This is
We've done too
absurd.
many
Right.
shows together. When Dan starts acting.
I think it was Bethune Cookman, was it?
Wow. Yes, he went to
No,
Google
this is
Cookman.
absurd.
Yes, the answer is Bethune-Cookman. Really
I
well
even
done
did
with the
that.
sleight of hand, Hanses.
He thought he might
Chris,
get
did
away
you
with that.
remember
That's
that
the sad
answer?
part.
Sometimes
Chris, did
a
you
blind
remember
squirrel.
that Eric Weems went to Bethune-Cookman? Because at the time you guessed Eastern Michigan and Schrager guessed Akron. Do you remember Bethune-Cookman?
I do not remember that.
That is
And
an impossible question.
Now,
When you
Wes,
ask
I mean, he was
three
a
more
guy
years,
at the
I
time
still
who
won't
kind of
remember.
mattered. Bethune-Cookman. We're going to do this show 4 years from now. I'm going to ask again. Should we crescendo now with the lightning round? All this is 6 very fast, irreverent questions, and whichever of the two of you says the answer first gets the point.
Okay.
Are you guys ready?
I would
Here we
suggest
go.
these questions are not capable of bringing lightning.
We'll find out. Here we go. Lightning round begins. What is Vic Beasley's jersey number?
58.
No.
55.
91.
No, 44.
44.
Which Patriot at the time of 2017 had climbed Mount Kilimanjaro?
Amendola.
Chris
No.
Long.
Chris Long is correct. We got a point. In honor of Keanu Neal, name any Keanu Reeves movie.
Speed.
Point
Speed
Break.
is correct. What is the name of the single off of Deion Sanders' rap album?
Must be the money.
Correct. In retirement, Drew Bledsoe has started a business
Winery.
with what product? Winery
Wine-
is correct.
Yeah.
And the last one, what is the signature color of the do-it-yourself Superstore founded by Arthur Blank?
Orange. Oh, sorry.
Orange is correct. Wesleyan, you got
Wes
it.
deserves it.
Oh my gosh, he couldn't help it. And you know what's funny? At the time, all 3 years ago, Wesleyan also got orange. You got that is.
I know Home Depot,
questions are
baby.
perfect for you, brother. Do it yourself, my man. So
Well-
that. Do we learn anything?
Dan
Was there
won,
any
I think.
vindication?
I think Dan won. Got
I'm-
some speed
I
round.
might have pulled the Belichick to get
Well,
there, but
I'm not sure. Are we counting Bethune-Cookman
No,
that was
that's-
Googled? So it's
we
2
should.
to 1.
Well, let's also take it back to what was Wes's reaction coming off the stage? Because now I am having a vague memory of asking him hours later when we first saw him for the day, like, oh, how'd that GMFB segment go? And you were steaming.
Well, I think my initial reaction was dejection. Like, I beat myself up quite a bit for not doing well. And then I thought about it for a while. I was like, those are the worst questions.
Terrible.
Whoever
How
came
about
up with
these
those questions
questions?
should not hold a job.
Kyle, how about this? And you feel free to shoot this down, but we have our own trivia game called Win Wes's Toaster. Put a lot of care into the questions. Sometimes those don't pass the smell test with Wes either, but I think in general the track record is good. What if, and hopefully there is a Super Bowl 55, what if you guys did a rematch here and it was Wesling Schrager and we were able to work with you to come up with the questions? And
It's a fantastic
we'd
idea.
be on the
In
same
Tampa.
I
page.
like it.
Can't wait to do it. It's a great idea.
And we get to be in the Rogues Gallery watching the whole thing go down.
Of course. Yes, absolutely. Wesleyan, you up for it? It's more about you.
I was going to say I choose not to run, but if Kyle's coming up with the questions, I assume he may have come up with the original ones, but I assume whoever it was has been ejector seated out of NFL Network by now and no longer works in football or anything to do with entertainment.
They were left in Houston, as I recall.
I didn't even ask
Schrager
you guys the
demanded
question
it.
where the answer was Cornelius Bennett. We had a Cornelius
There
Bennett
was a Courtney
question, too.
Upshaw answer too, according to the clip we answered.
There was
which
an
is pretty
Upshaw,
ridiculous.
and we had multiple Weems questions. It was ridiculous.
I think,
segment.
as I recall hearing the story behind the scenes, that Schrager ripped up the return tickets for each of the people on the production team before getting on the
he
plane.
did.
If
That's,
Kyle is
that's Schrager.
If Kyle is the impresario here, I'm in.
Respect. We'll do it. We'll do it. February, God willing, of 2021 in Tampa, Florida.
And we'll,
All right.
Wes, the reason it's good that we're going to be involved too, we want to protect you and protect your brand because you represent us.
My brand.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Been worried about my brand for a while.
All right. There it is. Well, Kyle, you've said it all.